Hello everyone, it's Chee-Chuan here. Today I'm going to show you how to create a line chart that shows the last day of the month for Apple stock price. For our data, we are using Apple stock price daily data from 1984 to 2017. This is a typical stock price data that you have the open price, close price, high, low, volume, open interest for every single day. So the problem here is we are going to show monthly data from 1984 to 2017. But since this is monthly data, we want to show some of the details related to the days, which is the average close prices, the close price of the last day of the month, and the difference between these values. This is a typical level of detail expressions problem where the level of detail of your table is different. Without further ado, let's get started. So first, I'm going to drag my date into the rows. And then I'm going to choose a date value month. For my y-axis, I need to show the close price of the last day of the month. So in order to do that, let's create a new worksheet called daily prices to show the exact date. We're going to choose discrete date here so that it's going to show every single date in row by row basis. And then I'm going to show the close price. Well, I want it to show in two decimal places. So I'm going to come here, default properties, number format, to show two decimal places. So this is the exact date, and I'm going to drag my date into the rows again because I want to show monthly data. Convert the date value month into discrete. I want to show the last close price of the month, which is going to be this value for September 1984, this value for October 1984, and so on. So in order to do that, I'm going to create another worksheet, check values. Here I'm going to show only the monthly data. Let's first find the last date of the month using our max function. So I'm going to create a calculated field, last day of the month. This is pretty simple. I can just use the max function to return the maximum of the date in that month. Compare our check values with our daily prices worksheet to check that our September 1984 ends on September 28. That's true. For October 1984 ends in 31st, 30, 31st, 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 30, 31st, 31st, and so on. So it shows that our values are correct. Then I'm going to create another calculated field to return the close price of the last day of the month with only monthly level of data. I'm going to name it as L close. L stands for last day. To calculate the close price on the last day of the month, I need to check if the date is equals to the maximum of the date for that month. Then I'm going to return the close price and then end my calculation. But now you see I have an error. Cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate arguments with this function. It's because date is a column that stores every single day in our database. So the max of the date is what we are expected here. So because the level of detail shows month of the day, so by just using the max of the date, we return the maximum of the date according to our month of the date. But in this calculation, the date is not aggregated. The level of detail is in the data source level. The max date in the visualization level, we need to use include in our aggregated function. So this is our visualization level maximum date. This is our data source level date. If our date is equals to the maximum date, which is the last day of each month, it's going to return the close price. Then we click OK. Here, we are going to drag this into the text. Default properties we set to numbers, 2 decimals, and then we're going to cross-check the values 0.4, 0.4, 0.39, 0.4, 0.4, 0.39. Now we can go back to our main chart and put our L close into the columns. I'm going to press Ctrl W to swap the rows and columns because I mistakenly put my month date into the rows. So I'm going to put them into the opposite way. Now if our line chart already, we need to format our label so that it's going to show the text as shown here. So you can type the label into your text editor. For me, I'm going to copy and paste because it's going to be much faster for me. You see, we cannot edit our text label here without putting any field into it. So I'm going to put my month of day, put my last day of the month. I'm going to add my L close into it. I'm going to delete all this first. I'm going to paste the text that I added just now and OK. So in our label, I'm going to choose marks to label selected. So when I select on a particular date, only the label will come. So the average close price of this selected month is something. So I haven't added our average close price into our label yet. So I'm going to add the close into a label, right click, change to average. Now in my label, I'm going to replace this with my average close. Now I'm going to change the color to blue. When you select label, now it shows the average close price of that month. And the last close price of the month is our L close. So I'm going to insert sum of L close, change it to blue again, and click OK. On our last close date, which is our last day of the month, I'm going to highlight this and replace with our last day of the month. Average close price of November 1998 is 1.15. Last close price of May is 1.02 on 11/30th, 1998, which is the last day of the month. Now, we have done almost 50% of our label. We only need one last thing, which is the difference between our last close price and our average close price. Notice that I have two calculations here. One is the close minus average less than 0 and close minus average more than 0. I'm going to explain this to you later. Why do we need two calculations? But first, let's just calculate the close minus the averages. To check my values, I'm going to drag my close price and then change it to average. So I have my average close price and last close price. I'm going to get their differences. So I'm going to create a calculated field called close minus average. Let's just check if the normal way works. So I'm going to get my L close minus my average close. It gives an error because I cannot mix aggregated and non-aggregated argument. This is non-aggregated and this is an aggregated function. So I'm going to change this into a visualization level of detail. So I'm going to include nothing, average close price. This is our close minus averages. So include, it means you are trying to add level of detail, but you add nothing in this dimension declaration. So this will follow your visualization level of detail. Keep OK, and then drag this into our text. Change the number format to 2 decimal and check the values. This is actually weird because our last close price is 39 cents, average close price is 39 cents as well, but the difference is 1 cent. So the problem here is because the original values of our L close and average close is not in 2 decimal places. So I'm going to edit my calculations. I'm going to change this into 2 decimal places by using round function. Then I want to add this into my label. Let's just delete everything at the back and insert our close. When I change the font to red, it's going to be red all the way despite the difference is positive. But this is not what I want. I want it to change dynamically according to whether it's more than 0 or less than 0. If the value is more than 0, I want it to change to green color, which signifies a profit. If it's less than 0, I want it to be in red color. So I want the color to be dynamic, and hence we need to use 2 calculated fields in order to use different color for each calculation. So I'm going to edit this calculation. Less than equals to 0 if this calculation is less than or equals to 0, then I'm going to return this calculation. So I'm going to copy and paste, enter, and the calculation. Okay, so this only returns a value when this formula is less than or equals to 0. What about when this value is more than 0? It's going to return nothing because I do not specify an else clause here. Okay, right click, duplicate, edit calculation. This time I want it to be more than 0. I'm just going to replace the less than equal sign to more than. So if this is more than 0, I'm going to do exactly the same thing by returning the exact value. Otherwise, now, okay, I'm going to drag my more than 0 sign into a label. And I'm going to cut this exactly next to our less than equals to, and then change this to green color. Okay, when the difference is more than 0, it's going to be green color, a red color for less than 0 sign. Alright, so this is our level detail expression problem. The sample workbook and the dataset, I will leave it into the description box below. If you have any question, feel free to comment. I'll reply as soon as possible. If you like to have more this kind of tutorials and more sample use cases to LOD expressions, feel free to leave a comment down below to let me know. I'll see you again in our next video.